Adwoa Ose made one mistake in her life. She loved a man who didn't deserve it. For 2 years, she gave Park Min-ho everything. Her time, her heart, her unwavering loyalty. She learned to cook his favorite Korean dishes even though she burned the first 10 attempts. She memorized his coffee order, his work schedule, his mother's birthday. She became smaller, quieter, and more convenient. And at her mother's 60th birthday dinner, right between the main course and dessert, he repaid her by choosing her sister instead. But here's the thing about betrayal. Sometimes it's the best thing that ever happens to you.
Dinner.
3 months later, Adwoa walked into a Seoul boardroom prepared to negotiate the biggest deal of her career. She expected charts, numbers, and corporate small talk. What she didn't expect was Sok Junho, Park Min-ho's older brother, the man they called untouchable, looking at her like he'd been waiting his whole life for her to walk through that door. Min-ho thought he'd won when he chose Ama. He thought Adwoa would crumble, beg, or fade into the background of his new love story. He thought wrong, because the woman he threw away was about to become the one thing he couldn't have. And the brother he'd always competed with was about to show him what losing actually felt like. The thing about betrayal is that it doesn't always come with a warning. Sometimes it arrives during your mother's birthday dinner, right between the japchae and the dessert course. Adwoa set down her chopsticks carefully. She had practiced using them for 6 months when she first moved to Seoul, determined not to be the foreigner who fumbled with her food. Now she was grateful for that practice because her hands wanted to shake, and the chopsticks kept them steady. "Say that again," she said quietly. Min-ho wouldn't look at her. He was looking at Ama instead, her younger sister, who sat across the table wearing an expression Adwoa couldn't quite read. Guilt, maybe, or victory. Sometimes those two things looked the same. "I'm saying that Ama and we've grown close over the past few months," Min-ho said. His voice was gentle, like he was letting her down easy. Like that made it better. "I didn't plan for this to happen. Neither of us did, but I can't keep pretending when my heart is somewhere else." Adwoa's mother made a small sound, something between a gasp and a sigh. The other dinner guests, mostly family friends and colleagues, suddenly found their plates very interesting. "How long?" Adwoa asked. "Does that matter?" Min-ho said. "How long?" Ama spoke for the first time. 4 months. 4 months. Adwoa had been with Min-ho for 2 years. 4 months ago, she'd helped him prepare for his biggest presentation at work. She'd stayed up until 3 in the morning, practicing his speech with him, making sure every word was perfect. He'd kissed her afterwards and said she was his good luck charm. Apparently, good luck charms were disposable. "Adwoa, honey," her mother started, reaching across the table. Adwoa stood up. She folded her napkin, placed it beside her plate, and picked up her purse. "Adwoa, wait," Min-ho said, standing too. "Can we talk about this?" She looked at him then. Really looked at him. 2 years. She'd learned Korean cooking for this man. She'd attended every family function, smiled through his mother's thinly veiled comments about her skin tone, her accent, her career. She'd made herself smaller and quieter, thinking that was what love required. "No," she said simply. "We can't." She walked out of the restaurant into the Seoul night, and she didn't look back. That was 3 months ago. 3 months of radio silence from Min-ho, except for one email about picking up the books she'd left at his apartment. 3 months of her mother calling from Accra, asking why she couldn't just be happy for her sister. 3 months of Ama's Instagram feed filled with couple photos, each one a small knife between Adwoa's ribs. 3 months of Adwoa throwing herself into her work at Sterling Luxe, one of Seoul's top luxury retail companies, until her colleague Jin threatened to hide her laptop if she didn't go home before midnight. And now, standing outside the Seok Enterprises building in Cheongdam, Adwoa was about to walk into the biggest contract negotiation of her career. She checked her reflection in her phone screen. Hair perfect, makeup flawless, shoulders back, game face on. If she couldn't control her personal life, she'd dominate her professional one. The lobby was all marble and glass, the kind of space designed to make you feel small, Adwoa had been in enough of these buildings to know the trick. She walked to the reception desk like she owned the place. "Adwoa Ose for the 10 o'clock with Director Kang," she said. The receptionist smiled. "Of course. 23rd floor. Someone will meet you at the elevator." The elevator ride was smooth and silent. Adwoa watched the numbers climb, counting her breaths. In for 4, out for 4. An old trick from her college debate team days. The doors opened to reveal a woman in a sleek black dress. "Ms. Ose, I'm Director Kang's assistant. Please, follow me." They walked down a hallway lined with contemporary art. Adwoa recognized a piece by a Ghanaian artist she'd seen featured in a magazine last year. Interesting choice. The conference room was smaller than she expected, more intimate. A table set for 3, not the usual crowd of 8 or 10 that came with these corporate meetings. "Director Kang will be with you shortly," the assistant said. "Please, make yourself comfortable. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Tea?" "Water is fine, thank you." Adwoa pulled out her tablet and notes, arranging them on the table. She'd spent 2 weeks preparing for this meeting, running numbers until they blurred together, anticipating every possible objection or question. The door opened behind her. "I apologize for the delay," a man's voice said. Not Director Kang's voice. She'd spoken with him on the phone twice. This voice was deeper, quieter, the kind that made you lean in to hear properly. Adwoa turned around and forgot how to breathe. The man standing in the doorway was taller than Minho, broader in the shoulders. He wore a dark blue suit that fit him like it had been made specifically for his body, because it probably had been. His hair was styled back from his face, revealing sharp cheekbones and eyes that seemed to catch everything. He was looking at her like he'd been expecting her, like he'd known she'd be here. "I'm Sok Junho," he said, extending his hand. "Director Kang had a family emergency this morning. I'll be handling the meeting instead." Adwoa shook his hand. His grip was firm but not aggressive. "Adwoa Ose, I hope everything is all right with Director Kang's family." "A minor crisis involving his daughter's school," Junho said, and there was the smallest hint of amusement in his voice. "Nothing serious. Please, sit." He took the seat across from her, not at the head of the table. Equal positioning. Adwoa noted that. "I've reviewed your proposal," Junho said, opening a folder. "It's thorough. More thorough than most of what crosses my desk." "I don't believe in wasting anyone's time," Adwoa said, "including my own." The corner of his mouth lifted. Not quite a smile, but close. "Neither do I. So let me be direct. Your company wants exclusive access to our Italian leather suppliers for your new luxury line. In exchange, you're offering us first right of refusal on your commercial retail spaces in 3 major Seoul districts." "That's correct. The leather access alone is worth twice what you're offering." Here it was, the negotiation. Adwoa leaned forward slightly. "On paper, yes, but you're not considering the location value of those retail spaces. Gangnam Station, Myeongdong, and Hongdae. The foot traffic alone generates 20 million won per square meter annually. And that's conservative. I'm aware of the numbers. Then you're also aware that commercial real estate in those areas has increased by 30% in the last 18 months. Our spaces are all ground floor, with premium visibility. If we open those up to competitive bidding, you'll be paying significantly more than what we're asking now." Junho studied her for a moment. His expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. Interest, maybe, or challenge. "You've done your research," he said. "I don't walk into rooms unprepared, Mr. Sok." "Junho," he said, "if we're going to be partners, we should use first names. Partners, not if we sign this contract, not if we agree to terms. Partners, like it was already decided. Before you keep watching, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button right now if you're already hooked. And drop a comment telling me, would you walk out like Adwoa did, or would you have stayed to fight? I really want to know. Now let's get back to this story because things are about to get very interesting." "All right, Junho," Adwoa said. "Let's talk specifics." They spent the next hour going through every line of the contract. Junho didn't miss a single detail. He questioned clauses Adwoa thought were standard, pushed back on timelines, and requested modifications to payment structures. But he did it all without aggression, without the usual posturing that came with these negotiations. It felt more like a chess game between two people who actually enjoyed playing. The exclusivity period, Junho said. You have it listed as 3 years. I want 5. 5 years is a long time to lock ourselves into a single supplier, Adwoa said. Market conditions change. So does quality. Our suppliers have maintained consistent excellence for 20 years. Can your company say the same about retail space management? Adwoa bit back a smile. Touché. 4 years. Final offer. Junho considered this. Then he nodded. 4 years. But I want quarterly reviews, not annual. Quarterly reviews mean quarterly reports. That's a lot of administrative work. I like to stay informed. Or you like to stay in control. This time he did smile, and it transformed his entire face. Can't it be both? They wrapped up the meeting at noon. Junho walked her to the elevator himself, which Adwoa suspected wasn't standard protocol for a man in his position. Your assistant could have done this, she said as they waited for the elevator. I wanted to ask you something, Junho said. Off the record. All right. The art in the hallway. The piece by Kwame Akoto. You noticed it. It wasn't a question. Adwoa wondered how he'd known she'd noticed. I did. It's rare to see his work in corporate spaces. Most people go for safer choices. Safe is boring, Junho said. The elevator doors opened. I look forward to our next meeting, Adwoa. She stepped into the elevator. Assuming we have a next meeting. We will, he said, and the doors closed on his confident expression. Adwoa waited until she was back on the street before she let herself react. She leaned against the building and exhaled slowly. What was that? Her phone buzzed. A text from Jin at work. Jin, how did it go? Do we have a deal? Adwoa, I think so. He wants to modify some terms, but nothing we can't work with. Jin, that's great. Celebration drinks tonight? Adwoa, rain check. I need to prep the modified contract. Jin, you need to prep your social life. When's the last time you did something fun? Adwoa didn't answer that. She pocketed her phone and headed to the subway. Her apartment was in Itaewon, a small one-bedroom she'd fallen in love with because of the window in the kitchen. It faced east, catching the morning sun. After the breakup with Minho, she'd repainted the entire place, changed the furniture, and bought new sheets. Erased every trace of him from her space. She was heating up leftover bibimbap when her phone rang. Her mother's number. Adwoa considered not answering. Then she sighed and picked up. Hi, Mom. Finally, you answer. I've been calling for 3 days. I've been busy with work. Always work with you, her mother said, and Adwoa could hear the disapproval through the phone. When are you coming home to visit? I don't know yet. Things are complicated right now. Complicated because you're avoiding your sister. There it was. Adwoa closed her eyes. Mom, I really don't want to do this right now. She's your sister, Adwoa. Family is family. You can't stay angry forever. I'm not angry, Adwoa said, which was mostly true. Anger had burned out weeks ago, leaving behind something colder and harder. I'm just not ready to pretend everything is fine. No one is asking you to pretend, but Amma is hurting too. This whole situation has been hard on her. Adwoa laughed, a short, bitter sound. Hard on her. Mom, she's not the one who got blindsided at a birthday dinner. She didn't plan for this to happen. Love doesn't follow schedules, Adwoa. You, of all people, should understand that. What Adwoa understood was that this conversation was going nowhere good. I have to go. I have work to finish. You always have work to finish. Maybe that's why. Her mother stopped herself. Why what? Adwoa asked quietly. A pause. Then, nothing. Call your sister, Adwoa, please. After they hung up, Adwoa stared at her cooling bibimbap. Her appetite had vanished. Maybe that's why what? Why Minho left. Why she was alone. Why she'd never be enough. She shoved the food in the fridge and grabbed her laptop instead. Work was easier than feelings. She was 3 pages into the contract modifications when her email pinged. From email protected. Subject: contract amendments. Sent. 6:47 p.m. Miss Osei, please find attached the revised terms we discussed this morning. I've also included some additional considerations for the quarterly review structure. I realized after you left that I didn't get your direct line. Feel free to call me if you have questions about any of the amendments. Best. S.J. Below his signature was a phone number. Adwoa read the email 3 times. Professional, straightforward. Except for that last part about her direct line. That felt like something else. She opened the attachment and started reading. He'd been thorough. She'd give him that. Every point they'd discussed was documented clearly, with suggested language for the contract modifications. But he'd also included notes in the margins, questions and observations that showed he'd been thinking about this deal beyond their meeting. One note made her pause. Section 4.3. Have you considered extending the supplier access to include the Spanish manufacturers as well? The quality is comparable to Italian, but the pricing structure is more favorable. Could increase your profit margins by 12 to 15%. Just a thought. He was helping her negotiate a better deal. For her company, not his. Adwoa sat back in her chair. In her experience, men like Sok Junho, men with power and money and influence, they didn't give away advantages. They hoarded them. So why was he doing this? She picked up her phone, hesitated, then dialed the number from his email. He answered on the second ring. I was wondering if you'd call. Not hello. Not who is this? Like he'd been waiting. I got your email, Adwoa said. The Spanish manufacturer's suggestion. That's not standard negotiation practice. I don't care much for standard practice, Junho said. She could hear something in the background. Classical music, maybe. I prefer deals where both sides win. Makes for better long-term partnerships. Your board might disagree. My board works for me, not the other way around. There was confidence in that statement, but not arrogance. Just fact. Still, Adwoa said, it's generous. It's strategic. If your company does well with this deal, you'll want to work with us again. I'm thinking long-term. Is that what you always do? Think long-term? A pause. Then, not always, but with certain things, yes. The way he said certain things made Adwoa's stomach flip in a way that had nothing to do with hunger. I should let you go, she said, suddenly needing to end this call. Thank you for the amendments. I'll review them with my team and get back to you. Adwoa, Junho said, and it was the first time he'd used her name over the phone. Have dinner with me. Her brain short-circuited. What? Dinner. Tomorrow night. There's a new restaurant in Samcheong-dong I've been meaning to try. The chef is Korean-Ghanaian, actually. I thought you might appreciate it. That sounds like a business dinner, Adwoa said carefully. It's not. 2 words. Simple. Clear. Terrifying. Junho, I don't think that's a good idea. We're in the middle of contract negotiations, which is why I'm asking for tomorrow night, not tonight. By tomorrow, you'll have sent the contracts to your legal team. There won't be anything left to negotiate until they review it. No conflict of interest. He'd already thought this through. Of course he had. I just got out of a relationship, Adwoa said. A bad one. I'm not looking for anything right now. I'm not asking you to look for anything. I'm asking you to have dinner, food, conversation, maybe dessert if the meal is good. Nothing more than that. Why? Why what? Why me? You could have dinner with anyone. I'm sure your phone is full of options. Junho was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. This morning, when you walked into that conference room, you looked like you were ready to go to war. And then when we started talking, you met every single point I made with something stronger. You didn't back down. You didn't try to charm your way through. You just knew your numbers and trusted them. Do you know how rare that is? Adwoa's heart was doing strange things in her chest. Most people I meet want something from me, Junho continued. My money, my connections, my influence. You walked in wanting a fair deal. That's it. So yes, I could have dinner with anyone. But I want to have dinner with you. Say no, her brain insisted. You just got your heart broken. You don't need this complication. Say no. What time? Her mouth said instead. She could hear the smile in his voice. 7. I'll send you the address. And Adwoa? Don't overthink this. Too late for that. After they hung up, Adwoa sat in her quiet apartment, staring at her phone. What was she doing? 3 months ago, she'd walked out of that restaurant thinking she'd never trust anyone again. She'd built walls, thick ones, the kind designed to keep everyone at a safe distance. And now here was Sok Junho, someone she'd known for exactly 1 day, and he was already finding cracks in those walls. Her phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number. By the way, this is Junho. Saving my number might be useful. Then, a minute later. Also, for tomorrow, wear whatever makes you feel like yourself. Not what you think I want to see. I want to know who you actually are. Adwoa read that message 5 times. Wear whatever makes you feel like yourself. When was the last time someone had asked her to just be herself? She saved his number and tried very hard not to smile. The next morning, Adwoa woke up to 17 missed calls from a number she'd blocked 3 months ago. Minho. She stared at her phone screen, debating. Then she unblocked the number and called back. Adwoa, he answered immediately. Thank God. I've been trying to reach you. I saw. What do you want, Minho? Can we meet? I need to talk to you about something important. We don't have anything to talk about. Please, he said, and he sounded desperate. Just coffee. 20 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Every instinct told her to say no. But there was something in his voice. Something that didn't sound like the confident man who dumped her 3 months ago. Fine. 20 minutes. The coffee shop near Gyeongbokgung Station. 1 hour. She hung up before he could respond. Jin ambushed her the moment she walked into the office. You look different, Jin said, studying her face. Did you get Botox? I'm 28, Jin. I don't need Botox. Then what is it? You're glowing. Oh my God. Did you meet someone? I'm meeting someone for coffee in an hour, Adwoa said, heading to her desk. But it's not what you think. Is it that CEO from yesterday? Please tell me it's that CEO from yesterday. I Googled him after you left. Adwoa, that man is gorgeous and rich and apparently never dates anyone. If he's interested in you. It's Minho, Adwoa interrupted. Jin's expression went from excited to murderous in half a second. Excuse me? The ex-boyfriend who dumped you for your sister is asking for coffee and you said yes? He sounded weird on the phone. I just want to see what he wants. I'll tell you what he wants. He wants to mess with your head because he's a selfish jerk who can't stand that you're moving on. I'm not moving on. You went on a date. It's not a date. It's a business dinner. With the CEO. With a potential business partner. Jin crossed her arms. Fine. Go meet with your terrible ex. But I'm tracking your location, and if you're not back in 45 minutes, I'm calling the police. You're dramatic. And you're too nice. That's how you got hurt in the first place. Adwoa didn't have an answer for that. The coffee shop was quiet at 10 in the morning, just a few students studying and an old man reading the newspaper. Minho was already there, sitting in the corner booth, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Adwoa slid into the seat across from him. You look terrible. Thanks, he said without humor. I feel terrible. 20 minutes, Minho. Talk. He ran his hands through his hair, a nervous gesture she remembered too well. I heard something yesterday, about you and my brother. Adwoa's blood went cold. What? Junho. Someone saw you two at the Sok building. Said it looked, I don't know, friendly. More than friendly. I had a business meeting with him. That's all. That's all? That's all. Minho leaned forward. Adwoa, I need you to be careful with him. Junho, he's not what he seems. And what does he seem like to you? Dangerous. Calculating. He does things for reasons that aren't always obvious. And if he's interested in you, there's a reason behind it. Adwoa laughed, cold and sharp. Let me get this straight. You dumped me for my sister 3 months ago, and now you're here warning me about your brother's intentions? Do you hear how insane that sounds? I know how it sounds, but Junho and I, we have history. Complicated history. He's always been competitive with me, always wanted what I had. Stop, Adwoa said quietly. Just stop. I'm trying to protect you. You don't get to do that anymore. You gave up that right when you chose Amma. Minho reached across the table like he was going to take her hand. Adwoa pulled back. I made a mistake, he said. With Amma, with all of it. I've been thinking about that night, about us, and I realized… No, Adwoa said, standing up. You don't get to do this. You don't get to show up now with regrets and apologies. It's too late. It's not too late. We had 2 years together, Adwoa. That has to mean something. It did mean something. Past tense. I'm done, Minho. Actually done. She walked out, leaving him sitting there alone. Her hands were shaking when she got back to the office. Jin took one look at her and pulled her into the break room. What happened? He told me he made a mistake, that he's been thinking about us. Of course he has. Because now you're glowing and meeting with CEOs and he's stuck with your sister, who only wanted him because you had him first. That's harsh. But is it wrong? Adwoa slumped against the counter. He also warned me about Junho, said he's dangerous and calculating, and probably has ulterior motives for being interested in me. Is Junho interested in you? I don't know. Maybe. He asked me to dinner tonight. Jin grinned. And are you going? I shouldn't. But are you? Adwoa sighed. Yes. Good. Wear the blue dress. The one with the wrap waist. It makes your legs look incredible. At 6:30, Adwoa stood in front of her closet, staring at the blue dress. Wear whatever makes you feel like yourself. She pushed the blue dress aside and pulled out something else. A jumpsuit in deep burgundy, fitted but comfortable, with wide legs that moved when she walked. She paired it with gold earrings her grandmother had given her, simple hoops that caught the light. She looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. This was her. This felt right. Junho texted at 6:40. Junho, I'm downstairs whenever you're ready. No rush. Adwoa grabbed her purse and headed down. He was leaning against a black car, scrolling through his phone. When he saw her, he straightened up, and his expression did something that made her stomach flip. Hi, she said. Hi, he said back. Then, you look perfect. I look like me. Same thing. The restaurant was tucked away on a quiet street in Samcheong-dong, the kind of place you'd miss if you didn't know it was there. Small, intimate, with warm lighting and the smell of something delicious wafting from the kitchen. The owner greeted Junho by name, then turned to Adwoa with a bright smile. You must be the guest he's been talking about all day, she said in English with a slight Ghanaian accent. I'm Nana. Welcome. All day? Adwoa asked, glancing at Junho. He had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. I wanted to make sure the menu was right. Nana laughed. He called me 4 times. 4, I told him. The food is good. Just bring the girl and relax. Their table was by the window, small and round, with a candle flickering between them. The menu was a fusion of Korean and West African cuisine, dishes that shouldn't work together but somehow did. This place is amazing, Adwoa said, looking around. How did you find it? I invest in small businesses sometimes. Nana reached out 6 months ago looking for capital to expand. I came to try the food and ended up eating here twice a week. So you're a regular. I appreciate good food. And good people. They ordered, and while they waited, they talked. Really talked. Not the careful, professional conversation from yesterday's meeting. This was different. Junho asked about her family, her childhood in Accra before moving to the States, how she ended up in Seoul. Adwoa found herself telling him stories she hadn't shared with anyone in years. About her grandmother who raised her while her mother worked 3 jobs. About falling in love with fashion while watching her grandmother sew clothes for the neighborhood. About choosing Seoul because it felt far enough away from everything familiar. Running toward something or running away? Junho asked gently. Both, Adwoa admitted. Does that make sense? Complete sense. I spent 6 years in London doing the same thing. What were you running from? Family expectations. My father had plans for my life that didn't match my own, so I left and built something separate from him. But you came back. I did. Because I realized running doesn't actually solve anything. It just delays the conversation. The food arrived, and it was incredible. They shared dishes, trying everything, and Adwoa couldn't remember the last time she'd enjoyed a meal this much. Okay, weird question, Junho said, reaching for more of the jollof rice fusion. If you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead, who would it be? My grandmother, Adwoa said without hesitation. She died when I was 16. I'd give anything to have one more meal with her, tell her about my life now. Junho's expression softened. She'd be proud of you. How do you know? Because you're exactly the kind of person grandmothers brag about. Adwoa laughed. What about you? Who would you choose? Honestly, I'd choose this, right here, this conversation. Her heart did that flipping thing again. They stayed long after the food was gone, talking until Nana gently informed them she was closing. Junho insisted on paying despite Adwoa's protests. Outside, the Seoul night was cool and clear. They walked slowly back to his car, neither of them in a hurry. Thank you for tonight, Adwoa said. I needed this. Needed what? To remember that conversations can be easy. That I can sit across from someone and just be myself. Junho stopped walking. They were under a streetlight, and it cast shadows across his face. Can I be honest about something? He asked. Please. When you walked into that meeting yesterday, I knew. I knew before we even started talking that I wanted to know you. Not the professional version you bring to conference rooms. The real you. And tonight, sitting with you, listening to you laugh, watching you try to steal the last piece of plantain when you thought I wasn't looking. I wasn't. You were. It's okay. I was going to give it to you anyway. He smiled. What I'm trying to say is, I don't do this. I don't meet women and ask them to dinner. I don't call 4 times to make sure the menu is perfect. I don't share my favorite restaurant that I've told exactly 3 people about. But with you, I wanted to do all of it. Adwoa couldn't breathe. Junho, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know that this isn't casual for me. I know it's fast. I know you're still healing from something that hurt you. But I also know that if I don't tell you how I feel, I'll regret it. And I'm trying to live a life with fewer regrets. The street was quiet except for the distant sound of traffic. Adwoa looked at this man who'd somehow walked into her life at exactly the wrong time and made it feel like exactly the right time. I'm scared, she admitted quietly. Of what? Of this. Of you. Of getting hurt again. I can't promise you won't get hurt. Life doesn't work like that. But I can promise I won't be the one doing the hurting. Not on purpose. Not ever. Adwoa took a breath. Okay. Okay? I want to try this. Whatever this is. Slowly. Very slowly. Junho's smile could have powered the entire city. Slow works for me. He drove her home, walked her to her door, and didn't try to kiss her. Good night, Adwoa, he said softly. Good night, Junho. She watched him walk back to his car, waited until he drove away, then leaned against her door and smiled like a fool. Her phone buzzed with a text. Junho, I know I just left, but I'm already looking forward to seeing you again. Sleep well. Adwoa, you too, and thank you for everything. Junho. The pleasure was entirely mine. Also, you did steal that last plantain. I have evidence. She laughed out loud. Adwoa. Prove it. Junho. Challenge accepted. She was still smiling when she got ready for bed. Still smiling when she turned off the lights. Still smiling when she finally fell asleep. Tomorrow would bring complications, questions, reality. But tonight, she let herself feel something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The problem with hope is that it makes you vulnerable. Adwoa learned this the following Monday when she walked into Sterling Lux's main conference room and found Minho sitting at the table. She stopped in the doorway. What are you doing here? Her boss, Director Han, looked up from his laptop. Ah, Adwoa. Good. You know Park Minho, yes? His consulting firm just partnered with Zenith Group. They're going to be helping us optimize our supplier relationships. The room tilted slightly. Zenith Group was one of their biggest partners, which meant Minho would be in her meetings, copying her on emails, existing in her professional space like he had every right to be there. We've met, Adwoa said carefully, taking a seat as far from Minho as possible. Adwoa and I actually know each other quite well, Minho said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. This should make collaboration easier. Director Han beamed. Excellent. Nothing like existing relationships to smooth the process. If only he knew. The meeting lasted 2 hours. 2 hours of Minho asking questions about supplier contracts, timelines, and partnerships. 2 hours of Adwoa maintaining perfect professionalism while wanting to scream. 2 hours of pretending her ex-boyfriend wasn't systematically inserting himself into every corner of her life. When it finally ended, Adwoa grabbed her laptop and headed for the door. Adwoa, wait, Minho called. Can we sync up on the Zenith deliverables? Maybe grab lunch and discuss? Email me, Adwoa said without stopping. I'll respond when I have time. She made it to her office before her hands started shaking. Jin appeared in the doorway 30 seconds later. I heard. I'm so sorry. I had no idea they were bringing in his firm. It's fine, Adwoa said, even though it wasn't. I can handle it. You shouldn't have to handle it. He dumped you and now he's invading your workspace? That's not okay. What am I supposed to do? Tell HR that I can't work with him because we used to date. That makes me look unprofessional. He makes you look unprofessional, just by existing near you. Adwoa's phone buzzed. A text from Junho. Junho. How's your Monday going? She stared at the message, debating how much to say. Adwoa. Complicated. Yours? Junho. Nothing I can't handle. Want to tell me about the complicated part? Adwoa. Not over text. Junho. Dinner tonight? Same place? She hesitated. They'd seen each other twice since their first dinner. Once for coffee, once for a walk along the Han River. Both times had been easy, comfortable, the kind of time that passed too quickly. But this felt different. This felt like needing him, and needing felt dangerous. Adwoa, I don't want to dump my problems on you, Junho. That's what friends do, and I'd like to think we're at least friends. Adwoa, at least? Junho, well, I'm hoping for more than friends eventually, but I'm patient. Despite everything, she smiled. Adwoa, 7? Junho, I'll pick you up at 6:30. That evening, Adwoa changed outfits 4 times before settling on black jeans and a cream sweater. Casual, comfortable, not trying too hard. Junho showed up at exactly 6:30 wearing jeans and a gray Henley. She'd never seen him in anything but suits. The casual look made him seem younger, more approachable, though no less attractive. You look stressed, he said as she got in the car. That obvious? Your shoulders are up near your ears. What happened? She told him about Minho, about the meeting, about the horrible realization that she'd have to see him regularly now. Junho listened without interrupting, his jaw getting tighter with each sentence. That's unacceptable, he said when she finished. It's business. I have to accept it. No, you don't. Give me his firm's name. Junho, no. Whatever you're thinking, don't. I'm not going to do anything dramatic. I'm just going to make a phone call. To who? The CEO of Zenith Group. We play golf together. Adwoa grabbed his arm. Please don't. If you interfere, Minho will know I told you. It'll make everything worse. Junho looked at her hand on his arm, then at her face. I don't like this. Neither do I. But I can handle it. You shouldn't have to handle it alone. I'm not alone. I'm telling you about it, aren't I? Something in his expression softened. You are. Okay, no phone calls. But if he crosses a line, any line, you tell me immediately. Deal. They ended up not going to the restaurant. Instead, Junho drove them to a Pojangmacha, one of Seoul's street food tents, tucked away near Namsan Tower. I know it's not fancy, he said as they sat down at the small plastic table. But the auntie who runs this place makes the best tteokbokki in Seoul. And sometimes fancy isn't what you need. He was right. The spicy rice cakes were perfect, and the casual atmosphere made it easier to breathe. They ate and talked, and slowly, Adwoa felt the tension from the day drain away. Can I ask you something? Junho said, pouring her more soju. Why did you stay with him for 2 years? Adwoa considered the question. He was safe, predictable. He said all the right things about the future, about us. And I think I confused consistency with love. What's the difference? Consistency is showing up. Love is seeing who shows up and choosing them anyway. Minho showed up, but I don't think he ever really saw me. Not the real me. His loss. Sometimes it feels like mine. Junho shook his head. You didn't lose anything worth keeping. Trust me on that. You sound very sure. I am. Because I see you, Adwoa. I see how brilliant you are in meetings, how you stand your ground without being aggressive. I see how you notice small things, like art in hallways and the way people take their tea. I see how you protect yourself, but you're still brave enough to try again. And the more I see, the more I want to keep seeing. Her heart was doing gymnastics in her chest. Junho, you don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know. They stayed until the auntie started closing up, then walked slowly back to the car. The November air was cold enough to see their breath, and Adwoa wrapped her coat tighter. Here, Junho said, shrugging off his jacket. You'll freeze. I'll survive. Take it. The jacket smelled like him, something clean and expensive that she wanted to bottle. She pulled it closer. Thank you, she said quietly. For tonight, for listening, for just being here. Always, he said. And the way he said it made it sound like a promise. When he dropped her off, he waited until she was inside before driving away. Adwoa watched from her window as his taillights disappeared, still wearing his jacket. Her phone buzzed. Junho, keep the jacket. It looks better on you anyway. Adwoa, that's a terrible trade. This jacket probably costs more than my rent. Junho, so? I like the idea of you wearing something of mine. She hugged the jacket closer and tried not to read too much into that. The next week was a special kind of torture. Minho was everywhere. Morning meetings, afternoon check-ins, random hallway encounters that felt too convenient to be accidental. He was always professional, always appropriate. But there was something underneath. A familiarity he had no right to anymore. On Wednesday, he cornered her in the break room. We should grab dinner, he said. Talk about the Zenith project away from the office. Email works fine. Come on, Adwoa. We used to be friends before we were anything else. Can't we get back to that? No, she said simply. We can't. Because of Amma? Because of you. Because you don't get to decide we're friends now just because it's convenient. His expression hardened. Is this about Junho? Because I meant what I said. He's not who you think he is. And who do you think he is? Someone who's using you to get to me. Adwoa laughed, sharp and cold. You really think everything is about you, don't you? Maybe Junho just likes me. Maybe this has nothing to do with you at all. Did that possibility ever cross your mind? You've known him for 2 weeks, Adwoa. I've known him my entire life. He's my brother. There are things about him you don't understand. Then maybe you should have introduced us when we were dating. Oh, wait. You kept your entire family away from me for 2 years. I wonder why that was. Minho flinched. That's not fair. Neither is this conversation. Excuse me. She pushed past him, her hands shaking with anger. That night, she told Junho everything over the phone. He said, I'm using you to get to him, she said. That everything you're doing is about competing with him. Is that true? Silence on the other end, long enough that her stomach dropped. Junho? Minho and I have a complicated relationship, he said finally. We always have. Growing up, there was always this comparison between us. Who was smarter, more successful, better at business? Our father encouraged it. Said competition made us stronger. That doesn't answer my question. No, Adwoa. I'm not using you to get to my brother. What's happening between us has nothing to do with him. But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't history there. Complicated, messy history. What kind of history? Another pause. The kind I'd rather explain in person. Are you free Saturday? I can be. Good. There's someone I want you to meet. Saturday morning, Junho picked her up at 10. He drove them out of Seoul, into the countryside, mountains rising green and gold around them. Where are we going? Adwoa asked. My grandmother's house. She lives in Gapyeong, about an hour outside the city. You're taking me to meet your grandmother? She's the only family member whose opinion I actually care about, and she's been asking to meet you since I mentioned you 3 weeks ago. You told your grandmother about me 3 weeks ago? We'd just met. Junho glanced at her, a small smile on his face. I told you. I knew. The house was traditional Korean, all wood and paper screens, nestled against a mountain with a garden that probably looked incredible in spring. An elderly woman was waiting on the porch, wearing a hanbok and a knowing smile. Halmioni, Junho said, bowing. Then he switched to English. This is Adwoa. His grandmother's eyes sparkled. So you're the one who has my grandson smiling at his phone like a teenager. Come here, child. She pulled Adwoa into a hug that smelled like cinnamon and something floral. When she pulled back, she studied Adwoa's face with sharp, intelligent eyes. Good, she said finally. You have a strong face. Not just pretty, strong. I like that. Inside, the house was warm and filled with the smell of cooking. Junho's grandmother insisted on feeding them, bringing out dish after dish despite their protests. Halmioni, we can't eat all this, Junho said. Then take it home. Adwoa is too skinny. You need to feed her better. I feed myself just fine, Adwoa said, laughing. Boyfriends should feed their girlfriends. It's tradition. Junho cleared his throat. We're not, officially. Not officially yet, his grandmother said with a wink at Adwoa. But soon. I can tell these things. After lunch, Junho's grandmother pulled out photo albums. Pictures of Junho as a child, serious even then. Junho and Minho together, 2 boys who looked alike but not quite. They were close once, his grandmother said softly, pointing to a picture of them as teenagers. Before their father got involved. Before everything became a competition. What happened? Adwoa asked. Junho and his grandmother exchanged a look. There was a girl, Junho said quietly. When I was 24, her name was Yuna. I was in love with her, planning to propose. Minho knew how I felt about her. And then one day, he told me they'd been seeing each other behind my back, that she'd chosen him. Adwoa's blood went cold. Junho. I found out later that he'd lied to her, told her I wasn't serious, that I was seeing other people. By the time the truth came out, she'd already moved on. Married someone else. And Minho, he acted like it was just another competition he'd won. That's why you were in London for 6 years. I couldn't be around him, around any of them. So I left and built my own life. When I came back, I made it clear that I was done with family games, done with competitions, done with caring what any of them thought. His grandmother patted his hand. Until now. Until now. Junho agreed, looking at Adwoa. So, when Minho says you're using me to compete with him, he's projecting. Because that's what he would do. That's what he's always done. Junho took her hand. Adwoa, I need you to understand something. When I met you, I didn't know you had any connection to Minho. I didn't find out you were his ex until after our first dinner, when he called me in a rage asking what I was doing with you. He called you? Oh yes. Very angry phone call. Lots of accusations. I told him the same thing I'm telling you now. This has nothing to do with him. This is about you and me. That's all. Adwoa's head was spinning. I need some air. She walked out to the garden, breathing deeply. Behind her, she could hear Junho and his grandmother talking in Korean, their voices low. A few minutes later, Junho joined her. I'm sorry, he said. I should have told you about Yuna earlier. When would you have told me? We've known each other 3 weeks. I know. But I also know that my history with Minho complicates things. And you deserve to know what you're getting into. What am I getting into, Junho? He stepped closer. A relationship with someone who has family drama. A brother who might try to sabotage us because that's what he does. A future that might be messier than you signed up for. But also, if you're willing, a relationship with someone who will choose you every single time. Who will stand up for you, fight for you, and never make you question whether you're enough. Before you keep going, I need to pause right here for a second. Things are getting intense, right? Drop a comment and tell me, do you think Adwoa should trust Junho? Or is Minho right to warn her? Let me know what you're thinking because this next part is going to surprise you. The wind picked up, sending leaves skittering across the garden. Adwoa watched them dance and thought about choices. About safe versus right. About fear versus faith. I'm scared, she admitted. I know. Not just of getting hurt. I'm scared that Minho might be right. That I'm just another chess piece in a game between you two. Junho's expression crumbled. How do I prove that's not true? I don't know. That's the problem. They stood in the garden, the space between them feeling wider than it actually was. Okay, Junho said finally. I understand. If you need space to figure this out, I'll give you space. That's not what I want. Then what do you want? I want to trust you. I want to believe that this is real. I want to stop being scared. But I don't know how. Junho moved closer, close enough that she could feel the warmth of him. What if we figure it out together? No rushing, no pressure, just honesty. Complete honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. You promise? I promise. Ask me anything, Adwoa. Any question, any doubt, any fear. I'll answer honestly. Always. She looked up at him, searching his face for any sign of deception. All she saw was sincerity and something deeper. Something that looked a lot like the feeling growing in her own chest. Okay, she said softly. Honesty. Starting now. Starting now. They stayed at his grandmother's house until evening. Before they left, his grandmother pulled Adwoa aside. My grandson is stubborn and proud, she said. Like his grandfather. But he's also loyal and good. If he says he chooses you, he means it. The question is, will you choose him? I'm trying to, Adwoa said. Try harder. Good men don't wait forever. On the drive back to Seoul, Junho's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and frowned. It's my father, he said. I need to take this. He answered in Korean, his voice immediately going cold and formal. The conversation was short, tense. When he hung up, his jaw was tight. Everything okay? Adwoa asked. Family dinner next week. My father is insisting I attend. He does this twice a year. Summons the whole family for a meal and pretends we're normal. Sounds fun. It's torture. But refusing would create more drama than it's worth. Will Minho be there? Unfortunately, yes. He looked at her. Will you come with me? Adwoa's stomach dropped. To your family dinner? I know it's a lot to ask, but I don't want to go alone. and I think it's time my family understood that I'm serious about you. Junho, we've known each other 3 weeks. Taking me to a family dinner sends a very specific message. I know what message it sends. I want to send it. Her heart was racing. This is moving really fast. It is, too fast. She thought about it. About Minho and his careful, calculated courtship that took 6 months before he even said, "I love you." About safety and slowness and where that had gotten her. No, she said. Not too fast. Just different. Different good or different bad. Different. Terrifying. Junho reached over and took her hand. We can be terrified together. The family dinner was scheduled for the following Saturday. As the date got closer, Adwoa found herself increasingly nervous. Jin tried to help by taking her shopping for the perfect outfit. You need something that says sophisticated but not trying too hard, Jin said, rifling through racks. Respectful but confident, traditional but modern. That's a lot of messages for one outfit. Rich families are complicated. You have to dress in code. They settled on a navy dress with a modest neckline and 3/4 sleeves. Elegant, professional, impossible to criticize. Perfect, Jin declared. You look like someone who deserves to be taken seriously. I always deserve to be taken seriously. I know that, but Korean mothers-in-law need convincing. She's not my mother-in-law. We're not even officially dating. Jin gave her a look. Honey, you're meeting the family. You're dating. He just hasn't made it Facebook official yet. The night before the dinner, Adwoa couldn't sleep. She kept playing out scenarios in her head, each one worse than the last. Junho's family hating her. Minho making a scene. His parents asking why their son was wasting time with someone so obviously wrong for him. At 2 a.m, her phone rang. Junho. Can't sleep either, he asked. How did you know I was awake? Because I know you. You're spiraling, aren't you? Maybe. My family is going to be difficult. I won't lie about that. My father is cold, my mother is judgmental, and Minho, well, you know Minho. This is not a good pep talk. I'm not finished. They're going to be difficult, but I don't care. I stopped caring what they think about my life 6 years ago. The only reason I'm bringing you tomorrow is because I want you to see all of it. The good, the bad, the messy family dynamics. And then you can decide if you still want to be part of this. What if I embarrass you? Impossible. What if they hate me? Then they have terrible judgment. Adwoa, listen to me. I'm not asking you to impress them. I'm asking you to be yourself and let me handle the rest. Can you do that? She took a deep breath. Yeah, I can do that. Good. Now try to get some sleep. I'll pick you up at 5 tomorrow. Junho? Yeah. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for being brave enough to try. Saturday arrived too quickly. Adwoa changed outfits 3 times before forcing herself to stick with the navy dress. Junho picked her up at exactly 5, wearing a black suit that made him look sharp and slightly dangerous. You look beautiful, he said. You look nervous. I am nervous. But not about you. About them. The Sok family estate was in Pyeongchang-dong, behind high walls and security gates. The house itself was massive, traditional architecture mixed with modern updates, intimidating in every possible way. A housekeeper met them at the door and led them to a formal dining room where the family was already gathered. Junho's father sat at the head of the table, a man in his 60s with the same sharp features as his sons. His mother was beside him, elegant and cold, her eyes assessing Adwoa in one sweeping glance. And there was Minho, sitting across from an empty chair, his expression unreadable. You're late, Junho's father said in Korean. Traffic, Junho replied, also in Korean. Then he switched to English. Father, mother, this is Adwoa say. Adwoa, my parents. His mother's smile was ice. How? Unexpected. Junho didn't mention he was bringing a guest. I mentioned it 3 days ago, Junho said calmly. Perhaps you forgot. The housekeeper pulled out chairs for them, directly across from Minho. Perfect. Dinner started with uncomfortable silence. Dishes were served, wine was poured, and everyone pretended this was normal. Then Junho's father spoke. "So, Miss Osei, how exactly did you meet my son?" "Through work," Adwoa said. "I'm a senior buyer at Sterling Lux. We've been negotiating a partnership with Sok Enterprises." "Ah, business." He made it sound distasteful. "And how long have you been in Korea?" 3 years. Your Korean is very limited, I assume. I'm still learning, but I can hold basic conversations. Basic, his mother repeated. How quaint. Junho's hand found Adwoa's under the table, squeezing gently. "Adwoa is being modest," Junho said. "Her Korean is quite good. She's also fluent in Twi, English, and conversational French. How many languages do you speak, mother?" His mother's smile turned brittle. Minho chose that moment to join the conversation. "Adwoa and I actually know each other quite well. We dated for 2 years before I met Amma." The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. "Amma?" Junho's mother asked. "Adwoa's sister," Minho said. "We're together now. Have been for 4 months. Junho's father's eyes moved from Minho to Adwoa to Junho, calculating. "I see. How complicated." "It's not complicated at all," Junho said, his voice quiet but firm. "Minho's relationship history has nothing to do with me." "Doesn't it, though?" Minho said. "I mean, the timing is interesting. You've never brought anyone to family dinner before. And now suddenly, right after Adwoa and I end things." "You didn't end things," Adwoa said quietly. "You chose someone else. There's a difference." Minho's expression flickered. "Fair enough. But still, you have to admit the optics are strange." "The only thing strange is you assuming everything is about you," Junho said. "Boys," their father said sharply. "Not at the dinner table." The rest of the meal was excruciating. Junho's parents asked pointed questions about Adwoa's family, her background, her career prospects. Each question felt designed to find a flaw, a reason she wasn't good enough. Adwoa answered them all calmly, refusing to be rattled. Then Junho's father turned to his son. "I assume this is a short-term situation. You're not serious about this girl." "Don't call her that," Junho said, his voice dangerous. "Her name is Adwoa. And yes, I'm very serious. Junho, be reasonable. She's not suitable for our family. Different culture, different background, different everything. Good. Our family could use some different." His mother set down her chopsticks. "You're doing this to spite us. Just like London. Just like refusing the arranged marriage. You make decisions based on rebellion, not reason." Junho stood up. "We're leaving." "Sit down," his father commanded. "No." Junho looked at Adwoa. "We're done here." Adwoa stood too, her legs shaky but her head high. "Thank you for dinner," she said politely. It was enlightening. They made it to the car before Junho's anger exploded. "I'm so sorry," he said, gripping the steering wheel. "I knew they'd be difficult, but that was, God, that was worse than I expected." "It's okay." "It's not okay. They were cruel and dismissive and completely out of line. Junho, look at me." He turned, his eyes stormy. "I'm okay," Adwoa said. "I've dealt with worse. Your parents don't scare me." "You were incredible in there. The way you handled every question, every judgment. I was so proud of you." "Yeah?" "Yeah." He reached for her hand. "I meant what I said. I'm serious about you, Adwoa. I know it's fast and crazy and my family is a nightmare, but I'm serious." "I'm serious too," she admitted, "which is terrifying because I swore I wouldn't do this again so soon." "Do what?" "Fall for someone." Junho's expression softened. "Are you falling?" "I think I've already fallen." He kissed her then, soft and careful, like she was something precious. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. "I've got you," he whispered. "I promise, I've got you." They sat in the car in his parents' driveway, holding each other, and Adwoa thought maybe, just maybe, this was what choosing felt like. choosing not the safe option, but the right one. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Unknown. We need to talk. It's about Junho. Meet me tomorrow. Café Miel, 2 p.m. Come alone. Ama. Adwoa stared at the message, her stomach dropping. What's wrong? Junho asked. She showed him the text. His jaw tightened. Don't go. She's my sister. She's also the person who betrayed you. This could be a setup. Or it could be important. Adwoa looked at him. I have to go. I need to know what she wants. Then I'm coming with you. She said, come alone. I don't care what she said. Adwoa touched his face gently. I need to do this by myself. But I'll tell you everything after, I promise. He didn't like it, she could tell. But he nodded. Okay. But text me when you get there and when you leave. And if anything feels wrong, anything at all, you call me immediately. I will. That night, alone in her apartment, Adwoa stared at Ama's message and wondered what her sister possibly had to say, and whether she was ready to hear it. Sunday afternoon, Adwoa walked into Café Miel 15 minutes early. She ordered tea she didn't plan to drink and sat facing the door, watching every person who entered. Ama arrived at exactly 2, looking smaller than Adwoa remembered. Thinner. Her Instagram photos showed a happy woman in love, but the person walking toward her table looked exhausted. Thanks for coming, Ama said, sliding into the seat across from her. Your text made it sound urgent. It is. Ama wrapped her hands around the coffee cup the waiter brought. I need to tell you something about Minho, about why he's suddenly everywhere in your life. Adwoa's stomach tightened. I'm listening. He's obsessed with you, with getting you back. He talks about you constantly, compares everything I do to what you would do. Last week, I made dinner, and he said, Adwoa used to make this better. When I wear my hair down, he mentions how you always wore yours up. It's like I'm just a placeholder for you. Ama, I'm sorry, but that's between you and him. I didn't come here to discuss your relationship problems. I'm not finished. Ama leaned forward. 3 weeks ago, he found out you were seeing Junho. He went crazy, started making phone calls, pulling strings. That consulting position at your company? He specifically requested it. He wanted access to you. I already figured that part out. Did you figure out that he's planning something for the Seoul Fashion Gala next month? The one you're being honored at? Adwoa went very still. What kind of something? I don't know exactly, but I heard him on the phone with someone, talking about making sure everyone sees the truth, about exposing Junho for who he really is. Adwoa, I think he's going to try to humiliate you both publicly. Why are you telling me this? Ama's eyes filled with tears. Because I'm tired of being part of his games. And because you're my sister. And I miss you. I know I don't have the right to miss you after what I did, but I do. Adwoa stared at her sister. This person she'd grown up with, fought with, loved despite everything. You hurt me, Ama. Really badly. I know. You didn't just date my ex. You plotted with him, planned the whole dinner reveal like it was some kind of performance. I know, Ama whispered. I was so jealous of you. You were always the successful one, the confident one, the one Mom bragged about. For once, I wanted to be chosen first. But the thing is, he didn't choose me. He chose the idea of making you jealous, and I was too stupid to see it. So you're leaving him? I already did. 2 days ago. He doesn't know I'm here. Adwoa processed this. What exactly did he say on that phone call? Word for word. He said, the gala is perfect. Everyone will be watching. By the end of the night, they'll see that Junho's only interested in her to hurt me. I'll make sure of it. That doesn't make sense. How would he prove something like that? I don't know. But Adwoa, he sounded convinced. And when Minho gets convinced of something, he doesn't stop until he gets what he wants. Adwoa pulled out her phone and texted Junho. Adwoa, meeting with Ama is fine, but we need to talk tonight. Something's coming. His response was immediate. Junho, I'm already worried. Come over when you're done. I'll cook. Adwoa looked at her sister. Thank you for warning me. I mean it. Does this mean, can we maybe try to fix things between us? I don't know, Amma. Trust takes time to rebuild. But we can try. Adwoa thought about Junho's grandmother, about second chances and choosing courage over fear. Yeah, we can try. Amma's smile was watery but genuine. That's more than I deserve. They talked for another hour, carefully navigating years of hurt and competition. It wasn't a complete reconciliation, but it was a start. When they finally left the cafe, Amma hugged her, quick and tight. Be careful at that gala, she said. Minho doesn't like losing. That evening, Adwoa arrived at Junho's apartment in Hanamdong. The space was sleek and modern, floor-to-ceiling windows offering a view of the Han River that probably cost more than she wanted to think about. But what caught her attention was Junho in the kitchen, wearing an apron and actually cooking. You're staring, he said without looking up from whatever he was chopping. You're wearing an apron. I'm making dinner. Aprons prevent stains. Very practical. It's cute. Now he looked up, grinning. I'm not cute. I'm sophisticated and intimidating. You're wearing an apron with cartoon cats on it. My grandmother gave it to me. I'm being respectful. Adwoa laughed, and some of the tension from the day dissolved. She sat at the kitchen counter and told him everything Amma had said. Junho's expression darkened as she spoke. When she finished, he set down his knife very carefully. He's going to try to sabotage us publicly, Junho said. That's his play. But how? What could he possibly do? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. He pulled out his phone. Who are you calling? Someone who owes me a favor. If Minho's planning something, there will be a trail. Emails, phone calls, something. Is that legal? I'm not asking anyone to hack anything. I'm just asking for information that's already available if you know where to look. He made 3 phone calls in rapid Korean, each one shorter and more intense than the last. When he hung up, his jaw was tight. What did you find out? Adwoa asked. Minho's been meeting with a reporter from Seoul Economic Daily, the same reporter who tried to dig up dirt on my family 2 years ago. If he's involved, this isn't just about embarrassing us. This is about damaging my reputation. Can you stop it? I can try. But Adwoa, this might get ugly. If you want to step back from the gala, from all of this, I'd understand. She stood up and walked around the counter to where he stood. I'm not stepping back. Whatever he's planning, we'll handle it together. You're sure? Completely sure. He pulled her into his arms, holding her close. I don't deserve you. Yeah, you do. Stop saying that. They ate dinner on his couch, some kind of pasta he'd made that was surprisingly good. Afterward, they sat watching the city lights, Adwoa tucked against his side. Can I ask you something? She said. Always. When did you know that you wanted this with me? Junho was quiet for a moment. The chopsticks. What? During our first meeting. You were nervous, I could tell. But you handled those chopsticks with your documents like they were extensions of your hands. And I thought, this woman practices things until she masters them. She doesn't give up. And then you opened your mouth and demolished every argument I had prepared. And I knew. I wanted to know everything about you. Adwoa's heart felt too big for her chest. That's very specific. I notice things about you. Like how you bite your bottom lip when you're thinking. How you tap your thumb against your phone when you're anxious. How you laugh with your whole body when something genuinely surprises you. You're making me sound interesting. You are interesting. You're the most interesting person I've ever met. She kissed him then, soft and slow, and he responded like he'd been waiting for permission. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Junho rested his forehead against hers. Stay tonight, he said quietly. Just sleep, nothing more. I just want you here. Okay, she whispered. He gave her clothes to sleep in, one of his t-shirts and soft pants that she had to roll 3 times. When she came out of the bathroom, He was already in bed, one side turned down for her. She slid in beside him, and he immediately pulled her close, her back to his chest, his arm around her waist. "This okay?" he murmured. "Perfect." She fell asleep, feeling safer than she had in months. The next 3 weeks were chaos. At work, Minho continued his professional invasion, always polite, always appropriate, but his presence was a constant reminder. Adwoa handled it by being colder and more efficient than ever, treating him like any other colleague. The modified contract with Sok Enterprises went through, which meant more meetings with Junho. Except now they'd arrive separately and leave separately, maintaining professional distance while everyone in the room could probably feel the electricity between them. Jin cornered her after one particularly tense meeting. "You two are ridiculous," Jin said. "Everyone knows you're together. The way he looks at you should be illegal. We're being professional. You're being obvious. Just make it official already." But making it official felt dangerous with Minho lurking and the gala approaching. Adwoa felt like she was waiting for a bomb to drop. She just didn't know when or where. 2 weeks before the gala, Junho asked her to dinner at Nana's restaurant. When Adwoa arrived, the entire place was empty except for one table set for 2. "Did you rent out the whole restaurant?" she asked. "I wanted privacy," Junho said. "For this conversation." Her stomach flipped. "That sounds ominous." "It's not. Sit." They ordered, and while they waited for food, Junho took her hand across the table. "I've been thinking about the gala," he said. "About whatever Minho is planning. And I realized something. I don't care. You don't care if he tries to humiliate us publicly. I don't care what he does because nothing he says or does can change how I feel about you. So I think we should make a statement. Together. Publicly. Before the gala." "What kind of statement?" Junho reached into his jacket and pulled out a small box. Adwoa's heart stopped. "This isn't a proposal," he said quickly. "Not yet. But it's a promise. That I'm serious about us, about our future, about choosing you every single day." He opened the box. Inside was a delicate gold bracelet with a single charm, a small key. "The key to what?" Adwoa asked, her voice shaky. "To everything. My home, my life, my mess of a family. All of it. If you want it." She looked at the bracelet, then at him, this man who'd somehow become essential to her in just a few months. "Put it on me," she said. His smile could have lit the entire city. He fastened the bracelet around her wrist, his fingers gentle. "There's one more thing," he said. "The gala. I want us to go together, not as business associates or friends, as a couple. Let Minho and everyone else see that we're together and we're not hiding." "You want to make it Facebook official?" Adwoa teased. "I want to make it everywhere official. Instagram, Facebook, the Soul Society pages, everywhere." "That's bold." "I'm feeling bold. What do you say?" Adwoa looked at the bracelet on her wrist, feeling its weight. "I say yes. Let's do it." The next day, Junho's assistant released a statement to the society press. Nothing dramatic, just confirmation that Sok Junho would be attending the Seoul Fashion Gala with Adwoa Ose, senior buyer at Sterling Lux. The reaction was immediate. By noon, Adwoa's phone was exploding with messages, colleagues congratulating her, friends asking for details, and one message from Minho. "Minho, really? You're going to parade around with my brother at your big night? This is how you want to play it?" Adwoa deleted it without responding. That evening, her mother called from Accra. "I saw the news," her mother said. "Amma told me about the breakup. I'm sorry I wasn't more supportive before." Adwoa nearly dropped her phone. "What?" "I was trying to keep peace between my daughters, but I ended up hurting you instead. That wasn't fair. You deserved better from me." Tears pricked Adwoa's eyes. "Mom, Amma also told me about this new man, Junho. She says he treats you well." "He does. Really well." "Then I'm happy for you, sweetheart. Truly happy. And I'm proud of you for walking away from something that wasn't serving you." After they hung up, Adwoa sat in her apartment and cried. Good tears this time. The night of the gala arrived faster than expected. Adwoa wore a custom gown, deep emerald green that made her skin glow. The designer had incorporated subtle kente patterns into the fabric, a fusion of her heritage and her present. Junho picked her up at 6, and when he saw her, he actually stopped breathing for a second. Wow, he said finally. Too much? Not enough words for how beautiful you look. He was wearing a midnight blue tuxedo that fit him perfectly, and together they looked like they belonged on a magazine cover. The gala was being held at the Shilla Hotel, one of Seoul's most prestigious venues. As their car pulled up, Adwoa could see photographers already waiting. Ready for this? Junho asked, taking her hand. As ready as I'll ever be. They stepped out together, and immediately cameras started flashing. Junho kept his hand on her back, steady and reassuring, as they posed for photos. Inside, the ballroom was filled with Seoul's fashion and business elite. Adwoa recognized faces from magazines, designers she'd worked with, executives from competing companies. And there, near the bar, was Minho. He was alone, watching them with an expression Adwoa couldn't quite read. Not angry, not sad. Something else entirely. Ignore him, Junho murmured. Tonight is about you and your achievements. The evening started with dinner and speeches. When Adwoa's name was called for her award, recognizing her work in bridging Korean and international fashion markets, the applause was genuine and warm. She walked to the stage, accepted the Crystal Award, and gave a short speech about cultural fusion and taking risks. When she returned to her seat, Junho squeezed her hand. I'm so proud of you, he said quietly. Thank you for being here. Nowhere else I'd rather be. The speeches ended and the dancing began. Junho led her onto the floor, and they moved together like they'd been doing this for years. You're good at this, Adwoa said. Forced ballroom lessons as a child. I hated every minute. And now? Now I'm grateful, because I get to dance with you. She laughed, and he spun her, and for a moment everything else fell away. Then Minho appeared beside them. Mind if I cut in? He asked, his tone casual but his eyes intense. Yes, Junho said flatly. We mind. I just want one dance with Adwoa. For old time's sake. There are no old times worth remembering, Adwoa said. The answer is no. Minho's expression hardened. Fine. Then I guess we'll do this the public way. He walked toward the stage where the microphone stood, and Adwoa's stomach dropped. He's going to make a scene, she said. Junho was already moving, intercepting Minho before he reached the stage. The two brothers stood face to face, speaking in rapid Korean that Adwoa couldn't quite follow. Then Minho raised his voice, loud enough for people nearby to hear. You're using her to get back at me. Admit it. I'm done with your delusions, Junho said, his voice calm but cold. This has nothing to do with you. Everything you do has to do with me. We're brothers, Junho. We have history. We did have history. Past tense. You ruined that when you sabotaged my relationship with Yuna. When you made everything a competition. I'm not playing your games anymore. People were starting to stare now. Whispers spreading through the crowd. Adwoa walked over, standing beside Junho. Minho, stop this. You're embarrassing yourself. I'm trying to save you from making a mistake, Minho said. He doesn't actually care about you, Adwoa. This is all about proving he can take what's mine. I was never yours, Adwoa said clearly. You gave up any claim to me when you chose my sister. And even if Junho and I weren't together, I still wouldn't come back to you. Because I finally understand what I deserve, and it's not someone who treats relationships like transactions. Okay. Pause the story for just a second because I need to know. Are you Team Adwoa right now? Because I am completely on her side. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more stories like this. Stories about people who know their worth and aren't afraid to walk away from the wrong person. Now let's get back to this because Minho is about to realize he's lost. Minho looked between them, something breaking in his expression. You really mean that? I really do. For a long moment, he just stood there. Then he nodded slowly. I guess I deserve that. He walked away, not toward the exit but toward the bar, and Adwoa watched him go with a strange sense of finality. Junho turned to face her. Are you okay? I'm perfect. But I think we just became Seoul's most talked about couple. Good. Let them talk. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. People congratulated Adwoa on her award, complimented her gown, and asked pointed questions about her relationship with Junho that she deflected with practiced ease. Near midnight, they escaped to the hotel's rooftop terrace, needing air and quiet. That was intense, Adwoa said, leaning against the railing. You were incredible. The way you stood up to him, the way you claimed your worth. I've never seen anything more attractive. She turned to face him. Yeah. He stepped closer. Adwoa, I know we've only known each other for a few months. I know this has moved fast and been complicated and messy, but I also know that I love you. Completely. Absolutely. No doubts. Her breath caught. Junho, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. I love you too, she said, the words rushing out. I think I have for weeks, but I was too scared to admit it. He kissed her then, deep and sure, and Adwoa felt like she was finally home. When they pulled apart, Junho kept his forehead pressed to hers. Move in with me. What? Move in with me. I know it's fast, but I hate the nights you're not there. I want to wake up with you every morning and fall asleep with you every night. What do you say? I say, ask me again in 3 months, and I'll probably say yes. He grinned. I can work with that. 3 months later, Adwoa moved into Junho's apartment with 2 suitcases and a certainty that this was right. 6 months after that, Junho proposed for real, not at a fancy restaurant or a public event, but in their kitchen on a random Tuesday while she was making breakfast. He got down on one knee, right there on the tile floor, and said, "Marry me. Please. I can't imagine my life without you in it." She said yes before he even finished the sentence. The wedding was planned for the following spring, a fusion ceremony that honored both their cultures. Adwoa's mother flew in from Accra, bringing half the extended family. Junho's grandmother cried happy tears and told everyone who would listen that she'd known from the beginning. Even Junho's parents attended, though they sat stiffly through the ceremony. But when Junho's father saw how his son looked at Adwoa, something in his expression softened. Amma was there too, standing beside Adwoa as a bridesmaid. Their relationship was still healing, still fragile, but it was healing. That was enough. The ceremony was held in a garden in Hanamdong, cherry blossoms falling like snow. Adwoa wore a dress that combined traditional hanbok elements with Ghanaian kente cloth, a perfect representation of who she was. When she walked down the aisle, Junho's expression crumbled into pure joy. They said their vows in 3 languages, English, Korean, and Twai, promising to choose each other, support each other, love each other through everything. When the officiant said, "You may kiss your bride," Junho cupped Adwoa's face gently and kissed her like she was his entire world. Because she was. The reception was a celebration that blended both cultures. Korean traditional music mixed with Ghanaian drums, food from both cuisines filling tables, guests from completely different worlds mixing and laughing and celebrating love. During their first dance, Junho pulled Adwoa close. "Happy?" he asked. "Deliriously happy." "You? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Not even when you chose to leave London and come back. Not even then. This, you, us. This is the best choice I've ever made." She rested her head on his shoulder and smiled. Same. Later that night, after the guests had left and it was just them, they stood on the same rooftop where he'd first said, "I love you." "Do you ever think about that dinner?" Adwoa asked. "The birthday dinner where it all fell apart?" "Sometimes." "Why?" "Because I used to think that night was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But if Minho hadn't chosen Amma, if I hadn't walked out of that restaurant, I would never have been available when you walked into my life." So maybe it wasn't the worst thing. Maybe it was the thing that had to happen so I could end up here. Junho kissed her forehead. I'm grateful for every single event that led you to me, even the painful ones. Me too. They stayed on the rooftop until dawn, talking about everything and nothing, planning their future, laughing about the journey that brought them together. Across the city, in a small apartment in Gangnam, Minho sat alone, scrolling through wedding photos on his phone. Photos that every news outlet in Seoul had picked up. Photos of Adwoa looking radiant, Junho looking devoted, both of them looking completely, utterly in love. He'd tried to reach out twice in the past year, once to apologize, once to ask for coffee. Both times, Adwoa had politely declined. She'd moved on completely, built a life that didn't include him in any capacity. He finally understood what he'd lost. Not just Adwoa, but the chance to be with someone who'd loved him genuinely, who'd supported him unconditionally, who'd been faithful when he hadn't deserved it. He'd traded gold for bronze and convinced himself it was an upgrade. Now he was alone, and she was married to his brother, and there was nothing he could do but regret. He closed his phone and sat in the dark, finally understanding the full weight of consequences. Regret tasted bitter, and it lasted forever. Meanwhile, Adwoa and Junho started their honeymoon in Ghana, where Junho met the extended family and learned to dance to highlife music. Then they went to Jeju Island, where they spent lazy days on the beach and talked about the future. About the family they'd build, the life they'd create, the love they'd nurture. On their last night in Jeju, lying on the beach under the stars, Adwoa turned to Junho. "Do you know what the best part of all of this is?" she asked. "Tell me. I didn't need you to complete me. I was already whole when we met. But you made me better. You made me braver. You made me believe I deserved good things. You made me believe in taking chances," Junho said. "In choosing connection over control. In letting someone really see me. We're pretty good together, huh? We're perfect together." She laughed and kissed him, and somewhere in Seoul, cherry blossoms were blooming and the city lights were glowing and life was moving forward. For Adwoa and Junho, the story was just beginning. For Minho, the story was ending with a lesson learned too late. Sometimes the person you let go becomes someone else's perfect match. Sometimes regret is the price of choosing wrong. And sometimes, just sometimes, walking away from the wrong person leads you directly to the right one. Adwoa had walked away from a birthday dinner 3 years ago, heartbroken and humiliated. Now she was married to the love of her life, running a successful company division, and living a life that exceeded every dream she'd had. She'd learned that dignity in the face of betrayal was its own kind of power, that choosing yourself was never selfish, that love, real love, didn't make you smaller. It made you more yourself, and that sometimes the best revenge wasn't revenge at all. It was living so well, so fully, so completely that the person who hurt you becomes irrelevant. Minho wanted her to regret losing him. Instead, she made him regret losing her, and that made all the difference. If you made it this far, thank you for going on this journey with Adwoa and Junho. Hit that subscribe button if you believe in second chances, in knowing your worth, and in love stories that feel real. Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment from this story, and let me know what kind of story you want to hear next. I'll see you in the next one.